Foot Talk, where we talk about all the various things that have happened to our feet.
Or what's left of them.
We had some very gross stories. Anyway, no, that's not what we're here for. We're here for creature features, which are, things that have grown off of our feet.
Ew.
We're in a really weird place today, so yeah, go
It's
for
the
that.
heat.
It's gotta
Our
be.
brains bake inside our skulls.
Right.
Let's see. Michael DeCosimo's here. Hello.
Mikey.
Talking about a movie that we'll probably talk about today. Dan is, of course, here, as always, from South Carolina. Good man, Danny. Vim Vanderstraten is here. Hello.
What's
up, Vim?
Tracy is also here. Hello, Tracy. Good to see you.
Sorry for your loss, hon.
Yeah, me too.
Sorry.
People always try to downplay the death of a pet, but no, it's hard. It's one of the roughest pains there is.
Yeah, no, I lost mine in 2016, 2017, and it is only this year that I've been ready to get new dogs.
Yeah, that mourning is very real. Yeah.
Oh,
it sucks.
So Tracy, I feel you, sister.
Sean Ennis is here. Danny says, rest in peace, Shelley Duvall. Yes. We've actually had a whole lot of celebrity deaths in the last couple of days. This morning I found out, what's her name from Shannon Doherty died. Yeah. Like, what? She was only like 52, I think.
53.
53? Yeah.
She's been battling cancer for 8 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Dr. Ruth died, and she was like 90-something, 96, I think.
Oh, I didn't hear about Dr. Ruth.
Yeah.
Richard Simmons.
Right. So,
wait, what?
It's weird. There's been so many deaths in the last like 2 days. It's crazy.
Oh, wow. I didn't know
There were better odds than all quite on the Western Front.
Yeah.
And then the kid from Alf.
Right, the kid from Alf. Yeah. It's wild. Anyway.
He's like our age.
Yeah, I know.
Well, your age. I'm a few years older.
We're the
it's not a
tail end
Bob.
of Gen X.
Indy's already asking about semantics. We'll get there. Don't worry.
Different than semantics don't, Evie White.
Slasher Fred is also here. Hello, Slasher Fred. Good to see you again.
Sure.
Okay, well, since Indy asked, let's go ahead and talk about it. We're going to talk about creature features today. Now, the term creature feature is very vague. It usually refers to like 50s and 60s horror movies that involve some kind of monster. That's not necessarily the definition we're going to be going with, because you know me, I like extremely loose definitions. I still think 20,000 or whatever, 10 mil, whatever years BC is a sci-fi movie with Raquel Welch. So yeah, it's whatever we want to call creature feature. There are limits, maybe. I don't know. Like, I would consider Oompa Loompas a creature. So, yeah.
Okay. Right.
I'm just going to open the floor to whoever wants to start. Which one of you guys wants to start? Because I hog it too much.
I'll start.
Awesome.
I am going to start with, because this is about creatures. It's creature features, so I'm going to start with a movie called
Creature. Perfect starting point.
That's an appropriate movie.
Yeah,
yes.
Which is an absolutely horrible movie.
There's nothing wrong with that.
That I watched when I was, for the first time, when it like first came out on VHS, and it was in our local little hole-in-the-wall VHS store. It wasn't even like a Blockbuster or anything. It was like Dave's VHSs or something, or Dave's Home Video, something like that, in the little town I grew up in. I tried to watch it the first time when I was a kid, but it scared the crap out of me, so I never really saw it. I was like 6 or 7, I guess, when it came out. So in rewatching it recently, I had to actually buy it on DVD because, there's like
nobody's going to stream that.
Well, they wanted too much for this. I was like, I can buy it for $2. It's like, why would I, stream it for $3.99? So,
right.
But anyway, that was a almost 2 hours of my life I can't get back, unfortunately. But it was, so they, so on the moon of Titan, these geologists find an ancient alien lab that has specimens in specimen containers. And I'm not talking little ones, I'm talking like big specimen containers. And they find one that's intact, and they pull it out and they put it down and they crack it. And then, anyway, the creature escapes and starts, kills the scientists that are there. And so they send out another ship to find out what happened. Meanwhile, their competition has already arrived and found this creature and brought it on board, who has then killed their entire crew, the competition, not the main guys. And so they land and they find that there's only one guy still alive, and he's telling them all about it, this thing and what it does. And basically it has these little creatures that come off of it that attach to your head and make your crew turn into these zombie type things that then come after you. So it's almost a zombie movie at the same time, and try to bring you back to it so that it can feed upon you, basically you become part of its pantry kind of thing, so that it can live on. And they eventually, of course, flush it out and kill it, after lots of other stupidity happens. The monster itself is, though kind of interesting, is quite laughable, and the fact that it's definitely a big rubber suit hung on somebody, and you can tell it's just kind of jiggling kind of thing. It's just the writing, the plot, everything about it is just, it's just not good. There were some fairly good actors and actresses in it. There was Stan Ivar, he's in it. Wendy Shaw, Diane Salinger, Robert, is it Jaffe? And a couple
Jaffe,
others.
Robert
Yeah.
Jaffe. Yeah.
Robert Jaffe.
Lehman Ward, who was the father of in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Yeah, he's in it. So there are some okay, kind of like A-B list actors in there. But I don't know.
It's
The
like
writing,
the
the plot,
quintessential like VHS rental in the late 80s, early 90s. Of just like really schlocky alien ripoff kind of movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's definitely a B movie version of Alien.
It absolutely qualifies as a creature feature. That's the kind of movie I'm talking about. Yeah.
So that's why I brought that one up first. First and foremost, because the name, creature. I mean, creature feature. And it's also a very much B movie that if you've never seen it and you can somehow get it for free or something, yeah, sure, waste your time. But
not waste your time.
Put
It's
that in
fun.
your just pass it by list, because that one's definitely, it was laughable at times. I'll say that. So anyway, anybody else seen it?
Well, yeah, I saw it a long time ago. Yeah.
In the 80s, I saw it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the perfect film to open this up with.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
I barely remember it, but for the longest time, it was a joke between me and my friend John, who's actually not in the chat yet. We used to just whenever we would talk about bad movies, one of us would just have to say "creature," and we'd laugh because that was the punchline.
Yes. The amazing thing about Alien is that Alien inspired a whole subgenre of new movies, yet and at the same time was derived from any number of sources. It's almost like it's
we'll talk about one of those.
we are going to talk about one, I promise you.
Maybe more. Anyway,
so, it's been forever, and Dave, you said it, y'all said it all. It's great, but I will say that I did find it for free on YouTube. So,
did you
really?
Yes.
Oh wait, I think I tried to watch
the full
it.
movie.
I think I tried to
It's
watch it on
probably
YouTube.
bad quality. Yeah.
It was just really, not good kind of thing.
I think it's one of those movies where they post it and they take it down, and they post it and they take it down.
It might be I missed it, too. But I think
I wouldn't be surprised if
But
there's somebody like Brandon Tenold has done a review of it or something.
Oh, I'm certain of it.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's that kind of movie.
Yeah, there's also there's a number of them. One of them I love that their title for it is Alien's Younger Brother. It's like I was like, that's a great.
It's more like Aliens, like, second cousin,
Vim confirms Brandon Tennell did do a review.
Inbred second cousin.
Oh, did he? Oh. So should I put that as the movie review then?
Yeah, go ahead, because I'm not going to cover Creature anytime soon.
Okay. All right.
Never say never, but as close to never as I can.
Don't make me, please. Don't make me.
I have covered Alien ripoffs, though. I did. What was that movie called? Inseminoid? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awful too.
That one was.
That's a bad movie.
Yeah.
Anyway, Scott, you go.
Okay. I will go with 1954's Them.
Yes, naturally.
I just like, because first off, it's 93% on Rotten Tomato. And it's one of the things that, like, the themes that I really love is the hubris of man and the ignoring of consequences, right? That our arrogance leads us to not listen to the consequences of our action, which, like, man, do we see a lot like that. We know so much, and it leads, like, we've been seeing that recently. And I think that's one of the importance of these movies, of a lot of these movies, that gets glossed over, that I don't think people recognize, is that, our actions, can lead to consequences. And so it's basically, we were testing the atomic bombs out in the out in the desert.
New Mexico desert. It was New Mexico.
Right. Yep. And no one's there. It's no one there. No one's there. We don't have to worry about it. And then the radiation leads to, and I'm going to go ahead and say it because it's on the cover. You'll know it immediately. Leads to gigantic ants that are destroying everything, right? And ants are, like, they're tiny, and we know how horrific they can be, especially in the South with red ants that are not which are not native to the US.
Yeah.
Right. They were imported in off of crates. And they're taking over the US. They're growing and spreading, and they will not stop. Hey, what's up, Joe? And it is terrifying. And they're gradually moving further north. Do you have them in the Northeast, Thrash?
No, not at
yet.
This time. Not yet.
Yes. Not yet.
They're saying with the increased global warming and their adaptation, it's probably only a matter of time.
Yeah.
But at the moment, we still have your garden variety black ant, which I'm actually training to form a resistance when the fire ants get here, so that the black ants will fight a war and hopefully prevail.
Okay, because this was a very long and detailed argument in my comment section of the movie Them, I will say that the movie claims that the ants in them are actually carpenter ants, not fire ants. Just want to put that out.
No. I was just using that as an example of how, like, invasive and powerful, right?
Yeah.
As they are, as these really minute creatures. Mm-hmm. You take these things and make them gigantic. That is terrifying, right? Mm-hmm. And again, it's carpenter ants, not red ants, right? So, but I'm using the red ants. Like, red ants came here by accident from, I think it was from Africa.
Oh, was it Africa? Okay.
No, they originally came from Africa, and I think they migrated to. I do think they also started in South America and then came north.
And we call them fire ants here in the South because when they sting you,
yes, it feels like fire. Yeah,
it hurts, right?
And they're actually more closely related to wasps than they are to ants because they actually have stingers. They actually have stingers and they sting you. So first they bite you with these giant mandibles to hold on, like the grasp onto your skin, and then they sting you with their little stinger like a wasp, which is why people that are allergic to bees and wasps are also allergic to fire ants. So yeah,
which I discovered when I was about 8 years old on the jungle gym. I fell off the top of the jungle gym directly onto a fire ant hill and got stung about 20 times.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was in the hospital.
Yeah. Oh.
No. Damien, we were playing football and we were at practice, and remember one of our teammates, we were doing like the starting exercises and
laid down on a fire ant pile,
on a fire ant hill, got bitten up and had to go to the emergency room and everything. Like it was bad.
My first experience with them when I moved down here was stepping. I was trimming the bushes at the house.
Sorry.
And
brother
stepped into the bush, and there was a giant. I'm talking like this tall. You can't see both.
We're talking about them, so giant ants is like
giant ant pile. Giant ant pile. Stepped right into it. And I felt this burning and tingling sensation on my leg, and I looked down, and I was covered in ants up to the knee, like covered. And I like went to screaming and running, just trying to pulling clothes off as I went, and jumped into the pool. And they actually bite harder, hold on harder when you go underwater. So scrape them off of you.
Of course they do. Of course they do.
Yeah, you have to scrape them off with your hands and stuff. It's anyway.
In the book in Starship Troopers. A candidate is actually dismissed because they're supposed to do a drop and freeze exercise, and he lands on fire ants, and he's like, nope.
Oh yeah.
And he and Zim actually get into it. He's like, I'm supposed to lay in fire ants, and he goes, you're supposed to lay wherever I tell you to, or you can't be a soldier. But I'm like, it's this really intense scene. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah.
No. But so I bring that up so that we get an understanding of the scale, right? Because they talk about it, and it's 1950, so it's a little bit like melodramatic and a little like the acting.
Not as much as you think it would be, though. Like there's other creature features in the 50s that are way worse.
No. But I'm just saying, like the 50s, like again, it was the evolution of acting, and so there was a stylistic approach versus more modern movies or whatever, right? Yeah. And so, but it's like with its like melodramatics, it can be with the era of 1950s acting, you could see it as melodramatic. But in reality, I preface this with that because it's not melodramatics. You get 20-foot like long ants that are like 9 feet tall. Oh yeah. Like that is terrifying. And then they end up making their way into the LA River and all, like, which is not a river. I've never understood. I know it used to be, but anyways, and so I like it's a really, really good movie.
One of the best.
I think Daryl missed Mr. Pickles.
Mr. Pickles was on the back of the chair just before we started. And the second he was like, okay, let's go, he jumped off and ran away.
He doesn't want to be on the internet anymore.
Says, no pictures.
and so, I just like it is a really, really good movie. And, again, it's that concept of us acting without thinking about the consequences and of our actions, right?
And also the people who pay the price for those consequences are usually the innocents. Like the whole second half of the movie is about a child in danger.
Yes.
Also, I should point out, is basically the blueprint for Aliens, the sequel, where they're going into the tunnel with flamethrowers, going after the giant ants to try to save the kid who's been kidnapped by the giant monsters. It's basically Aliens. It's basically just like Ripley going after Newt.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because Newt is the clone of the them child. The them
Absolutely.
Girl. She even hides in a cabinet, which is how she survives. It's they just bring it to the next level because, like the boys who spoiler alert Whitman. The guy who played the Winter War.
Yeah, Whitman, the guy from Shawshank.
Yes. He sacrifices himself, saying they are lucid. They're not in a comatose state. So Newt is sort of the extension of the children from them. And of course, there's even a little bit of that government hush up.
Oh,
where
absolutely.
After they interview the guy, they tell the doctor, if any of this leaks out, it's your neck. And I'm
Yes.
like, it's funny how there's an origin of that in this, and how much that will come up later in other film.
Yes, Indy Brooks. That's Whitman. Yeah.
No, and I understand the concept of controlling mass hysteria, right? But again, all of these different things is that it gets you into this reminder of government is supposed to be, especially our government, is supposed to be the citizens are the boss. But when you get into steps like that, it shows you how those like that are in power can often see we're not, that they're the ones in charge, and we are merely like the cannon fodder of sorts, right? Like we're just here to be controlled. And again, not to get too conspiratorial or anything, but because again, I'm not of that ilk, but I think I've been hanging around Tug too much, and I'm becoming more so.
And the movie is
no politics. What are you talking about?
The movie is called Them, they,
right?
Them,
us versus them.
Yeah.
Oh, well done.
Yeah.
Good call.
That's an interesting double feature. You could watch them, and then you could watch us.
Yes.
And then you can watch They. Then you can watch They, which is that's another interesting one. But
okay. Anyway, Them is a great movie. It is the quintessential creature feature. I'm amazed that it got brought up by you, Scott. No offense. But it was at the very top of my list. It was the very first one on my list.
Oh,
wow. So does anybody else have anything else to say about them before we move on to Thrash?
No, I think we've covered it, and very well. Thank you to all of you guys. Great points. Good team effort, King.
Okay, Thrash, it's your turn then.
Excellent. Well, Them was on my list. It wasn't my number one, but I will now move on to another one. I decided to, speaking of alien templates, I decided to go with 1957's Night of the Blood Beast.
Nice.
This is a gem. Now, I have to point out, when I first saw this, I think I was 8 years old, and I think I saw it with my uncles when we were watching Creature double feature, like at 11 o'clock at night.
Thanks, sir.
And it actually scared the Bee Gees out of me. It's
you couldn't stay alive anymore? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was like, I'm more than a woman.
Scared the Bee Gees, Eddie.
Oh, the B. Well, it's now just the G.
That's true.
I'm sorry, that was terrible. Moving forward, it actually this film it's very atmospheric, and the monster, the Hoki, managed to induce like fear in a child. And basically, long story short, the spacecraft returns to Earth. It crashes. It's found by people who are on an unrelated station, but they're scientists. They bring what they think are the bodies back to their station, and one of them turns out to still be alive, even though he was in rigor mortis. And, well, they also brought back something else. They brought back an alien creature. Now, the amazing thing about this is, while the alien is creepy, and it does this thing where at night it looks through windows, and I always found that sort of imagery of the monster kind of like peering in to be like really, really scary to me as a child, probably because we lived in a ranch house. When I grew up, I intentionally bought a house with 2 floors so they couldn't look at my windows. I'm crazy. But what it did, it came back and it says it wants to save Earth. It wants to save humans. It wants to save humanity. And it has this weird connection with the surviving astronaut. And you find out the way it wants to save humanity is to convert humans into this new alien species, which it thinks is superior. And it is, ew, are you sitting down? It has implanted embryos in that surviving astronaut. Sound familiar? And it does something else in an unrelated matter. The alien decides it wants to communicate with the humans, and it can't because it's an alien. It doesn't speak human. So he captures one of them and eats their brain in order to ingest its knowledge. And this whole thing it's this incredibly scary, monstery thing. But on the same token, and I agonized about this in my lists. To me, a creature isn't simply a monster. A monster is just something that kind of goes roar, roar, roar. Creatures actually have personality. They're actually a three-dimensional entity. Maybe not something you can actually communicate with, but it actually has character. And this one certainly did. And it stars Ed Nelson, who's one of my favorite sci-fi schlock jocks, and got John Bayer, I believe his name was, probably best known for one of my favorite comedies, We're No Angels. He plays the bratty heir who they end up having to get rid of as well. And supposedly, and the lore on this is a little backwards. The alien costume was also used in I Was a Teenage Caveman.
Right.
Which Corman also filmed in Bronson Canyon. And supposedly the story goes they used it in a Teenage Caveman first and then in Night of the Blood Beast. I think it was the other way around because the costume actually got burned during the making of Blood Beast, and that's why it's all charred up in Teenage Caveman. But in any case, it's the same monster. But all these years, and that creature has really, really stayed with me. And again, you have the alien connection. So I had to open with Night of the Blood Beast.
Good choice. Excellent choice. I haven't seen it in a long time, but it is a fun one.
There's an excellent depiction on MST3K. They do what they really run with it.
That's probably where I saw it. Anybody else have anything to say about it?
I've never seen it.
Oh,
I think I've seen it years and years ago. Back in the late 80s, I lived in Winnipeg, Manitoba, and they had this Friday and Saturday night creature feature that they would put on old black and white movies and stuff. And I think that I vaguely remember this one, but yeah.
That's where the term creature feature actually comes from,
yeah,
by the way.
Yeah.
It comes from TV.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, that I know. I think it meant from this movie. And I'm
no,
like,
not from this movie specifically. Just from TV showing creature feature, like old sci-fi movies and old.
They would do
movies.
old. They do 3D
call them creature features
stuff. They do. Creature
yeah.
features. You know, yeah. They do old movie stuff. Yeah, it was fun.
I love stuff like that.
Oh, martial arts film freak. Hello, Tristan. Thank you so much. Guyver 2. Yeah, the Guyver movies, they count. They definitely have like creature elements. It's kind of like that weird mix of body horror and martial arts, which is always very interesting. I remember seeing the Guyver movies when I was way too young to watch them and being fascinated. Like it was like nothing I had ever seen before. And yeah, David Hayter, right, from Metal Gear Solid. I knew that. It's been a long time since I've seen them. I really should watch them again. I should cover them on my channel, for crying out loud. I don't know how old. I'm pretty sure the first one's got to be over 30 years old at least. That's the one with Mark Hamill. So yeah. Anyway, yeah. Thank you, Tristan. You are the bomb. You are awesome.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to play this yet again, even though this is like the only one I've got. I've got to get more. That always makes me laugh. I'm sorry. I don't know if I told you guys this, but like my son, when he was doing karate, his sensei used to play that song all the time.
Of course you did.
That's awesome.
So good. Where was I? Oh, I was going to talk about my pick now. Well, since it was already brought up in the comments and people were already talking about it, I'm going to go ahead and bring in fan favorite, Clash of the Titans, the original Ray Harryhausen. Like, it's a creature feature because it's got so many different creatures. It is just a menagerie of Ray Harryhausen creations. You've got Medusa. You've got that stupid owl that I love. You've got yeah, Bubo, right? And of course, you've got the Kraken, the iconic Kraken, like one of Ray Harryhausen's greatest creations. that movie is just so good. Everything about it, even like the scorpion. I watched that movie so much as a kid, and like there's so many of those effect shots from Harryhausen are just seared into my memory. More than the movie itself, more than the actors, even though Burgess Meredith is great. But like it's mostly just those effects. They're just part of my psyche now, So yeah, I wanted to mention Clash of the Titans just because as creature features go, you can't do any better than Ray Harryhausen. And this was his magnum opus. This was his last movie and easily his best work. And that's saying something because he's got a lot of great movies and I'm sure we're going to bring him up again.
Oh, I would almost bet on it.
I never realized that was his last movie.
That was his last movie, yeah.
That's phenomenal.
He didn't die right away. Like he just
no.
Yeah.
No.
Tired.
That's a great one to step away from. Like,
yeah, once you've done that, I'm done. That's mic drop moment,
It was sort of a love letter to himself. I mean,
absolutely.
The Kraken's head is the Emir. Its body was the Septipod from it came from beneath the sea.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You got the black scorpions. You don't need to connect the dots there. I mean, he made it as a tribute to himself, and you know what? It worked. Very few artists can pull that off and get away with it. But with him, you can, because he's basically pulling together all his work and giving it to you in one masterpiece. And the film was great, too.
Oh, it's a great movie.
It took tremendous liberties with the storylines. But it was just so much fun. I get to see that movie. Little story here. Well, I remember it. We had a tradition in my household where on the last day of school, provided I got good grades, I could go to that night. My mom would take me to a movie.
Hi, Lance.
With a friend.
I didn't see you pop in.
Hey, Lance, what's going on, man?
Hey, Lance.
And 7th grade, I got to see Clash of the Titans, and I saw it with my best friend, who apparently was I knew movies, but he knew art. So he knew and he gave me like a crash course in Harryhausen before, during, and after the watching the movie. So I kind of learned of Harryhausen with his swan song. And again, so I doubly appreciate the movie just for that reason alone.
It's a weird thing about Harryhausen is that like a movie is a Harryhausen movie. Like, it's Ray Harryhausen before you know anything about the director, anything about the actors, or anything. Like it's always Ray Harryhausen first. How many other special effects guys can do that? Almost none. Like maybe Stan Winston, maybe, but
Tom Savini.
Tom Savini a little bit, yeah. But it's mostly just Harryhausen, and his predecessor, and his mentor Willis O'Brien, who made King Kong. Yeah. So yeah, that's it. That's all I wanted to say. Clash of the Titans, great movie. Everybody should see it immediately.
One of my favorite movies from my childhood, for sure. It is. I love that movie. Yeah.
We watched it. Sorry.
Go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
I was just amazed by the special effects when I was a kid. Yeah. And I mean, a lot of it's claymation, but you can tell. But it was awesome. It was great. So yeah, go ahead, Scott.
I had seen it on TV multiple times, and then in 6th grade English class, my teacher, still remember her because I had the biggest crush, Miss Hunt. I'll throw it out there, Mrs. Hunt. Played it. It said that she was going to play it, and I, like a giddy little schoolgirl, became so excited and almost squealing with joy that all of my classmates, who apparently had never seen this movie, were like, "What is wrong with this kid?" And I'm like, "You don't understand. You don't understand how
this is the greatest movie ever.
Oh my god, you don't understand." And
this has everything. This has monsters. This has a boob shot. This movie has everything.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Glorious, y'all. You don't understand. And I was the weirdo until we finally saw that, and they're like, "Okay, fair point."
You got to give it to him.
I know. I was like,
am I the only one that liked the owl in that movie? Because
I love the owl.
Yeah,
like the owl is weird.
Yeah,
but
that's what's great about it. Yeah.
When his head does a whole 360.
Yeah.
It reminds me of, for some reason, it reminds me of the Island of Misfit Toys. Like,
I can see that.
I don't know what it is, but it reminds me of that, and I love it. And it's just, again, it's a combination of like, it's such a great story. Burgess Meredith, man.
Burgess Meredith is fantastic. Yeah.
Just like Henry Hamlin, just Maggie Smith. It's just great, right? Like, you've got Greek mythology, you've got all of these creatures, this in-depth like story, right?
Hi, Mom.
The tragedies, the hero, the obstacles. It's these creatures that he's got to face. Again, why the special effects needs to go to a master, because there is so much of this that's needed, right? And so it's just, to me, it's one of my all-time favorite movies, and it's just so great.
One thing I want to say, the scene with the Stygian witches, which is facts. It's just meant to be exposition. You have to get from the point A to point B. So they're there to rapid fire, boom, 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 right? The scene is also incredibly funny. It's almost there for comic relief. And yet at the same time is bizarrely creepy and scary when the hand comes out.
Get back in there.
So exactly.
It's one of my favorite scenes in the movie.
Expositional scene, and usually expositional dialogue is literally, it's clunky. Let's just get this over with so we can get the audience up to speed. Name another movie where the expositional dialogue is that entertaining, both funny and scary while educational. How they pulled that off. I remember as a kid watching that scene and going, wow. I forget what happened immediately afterwards, because that scene was so iconic. I think that scene is actually better than the fight with the Kraken, which facts might be a little anticlimactic after such a great movie build up until that point. Judges?
Give us the eye. Give us back the eye.
I don't disagree with you, Rash, that the fight with the Kraken is not one of the most memorable scenes. When in a movie with so many memorable scenes, but still a great movie, right? It doesn't fully take away from the movie, but I'll agree with you. Like, we're building up to this moment,
I think,
and there's as far as what I remember and what stands out, like, that's going to be one of the ones that I'm not going to pull from. Oh, and that fight with the Kraken, right? Like,
to me, the true climax of that movie is the Medusa.
Medusa. That's what I was
saying.
Yeah,
exactly.
Slaying a Medusa is definitely the climax.
That is the climax, and everything else is.
I was terrified, nay, petrified of that Medusa.
There you go. Petrified.
Well played, young man.
Yes.
Well played. Yeah. And you're right. Now, of course, the
first I was afraid, I was petrified.
The climax is the race against time. Can he get there in time? And when they do finally reveal the Kraken, the reveal is good. Although my first thought,
I still love the Kraken. I don't know what you people.
Yes,
Kraken's great. Kraken's great. But I was expecting some type of. He pulls out the spoiler alert, by the way, if you haven't seen it, tough. He pulls out the head. It's like, dung! And I'm like, well, that worked out nicely then, didn't it?
Nice little wrap up there. That's...
Cheese and Krakens, yes. Nice, Emily.
Would it be feta cheese in this case?
Nice, well done.
And for the remake, no.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about that.
Oh yeah, no.
I like Liam Neeson. Everything else is terrible.
Yeah.
Well, no. The only good thing that ever came out of that movie was the release the Kraken. That's it. That's it.
People still say that. People still say release the Kraken. It's up there with Here's Looking at You, kid.
I'm in Seattle. Like, we have the Kraken. Or no,
that's
we have
your
the
hockey
Kraken,
team,
right?
Yeah,
that's our hockey team. And so like release the Kraken is like, and then you have Kraken. I think it's Kraken rum. I've never had it, but it's like
so
it's not bad. It's not bad at all.
Is it rum or is it whiskey?
It's rum. It's rum. They have a dark,
yeah.
like a dark black rum, and then they have a lighter version of it, which is actually one of my favorites. Which is like it's like a red or golden color. I can't remember if they call it golden kraken. Anyway, it's really good. Yeah. So
and so when you're drinking that, you have to go release a kraken, right? And
yes.
and everything, right? You have to. But like it's a great line. But
that's
again,
a good point, Emily. I do think there are a lot of people out there who don't even know what it's from.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
which is weird to me.
I had a friend who this is a true story. I got him saying, "Thank you, Moneypenny. Thank you, Miss Moneypenny. Thank you, Miss Moneypenny." And one day he comes up to me like out of the blue and he goes, "That Moneypenny, she's a character in the James Bond films." And I went, "Yeah."
No, I had no idea.
But he thought it was just like some irreverent English,
just some weird thing. Yeah.
And it didn't realize it was actually from something. So yeah, I that happens a lot. That happens. I'm sure many people do that with Kraken.
I say brain, what is brain all the time, and I'm sure like 90% of the people I say it to have no idea what it's from. So
you don't need to. It's a terrible episode, and I'll die on
you don't need to see it. But it's my go-to whenever like I have a brain fart and I can't think straight. I just brain. What is brain? And they're like, "What are you saying?"
Never mind.
Classical reference.
It's Shakespeare. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so that was my pick, Damien. Now it's up to you again.
Oh, is it my turn again?
Yep.
Oh, I know what I want to do.
You only had one.
No, I only had the one movie. I'm all out of preaching. I don't have a list that's like literally, I don't know, 60, 70, 80 movies long. Anyway, I'm going to go with the one I watched last night for the second time, The Shape of Water.
Okay.
Which is
nice.
A creature feature in every definition that we've discussed here, except for it's not an evil creature. It's actually a very nice and of course, I'm sure everybody's seen The Shape of Water in here. Yeah,
sure.
So
yeah.
So mute girl falls in love with merman from South America in a early 60s Cold War like research bunker thing. I don't know exactly what it was, but in Baltimore of all places. I've
been to Baltimore. I believe it.
Anyway, so yeah, he is a thinking, feeling creature. He actually is intelligent, and she falls in love with him. He can't speak English, but he learns how to sign. Because she can't speak, so she signs to him, and he picks up on what she's signing, and she has to at some point they're gonna. Huh? What'd you say?
She is picking up what he's laying down.
Oh yeah. Oh, she's picking it up all right.
Oh,
he's laying down some serious stuff too.
And the movie does not shy away from this at all.
No, not at all.
It leans into it, if anything.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, it was not subtle at all. I'm like, I get it, guys. I get it.
Yeah.
I don't need to see fish sex.
Brokeback fish tank.
Get away from it, Stokely.
But anyway, I picked this one because it's it's a creature feature that shows the humanity of the creature and this kind of cross species love, which is borderline. I don't know what you want to call that, but
bestiality.
Yeah,
well, exactly. I mean, like
up until recently, it would have been legal in Florida.
Probably.
Well, this was Benicio del Toro.
That law failed 3 times.
Was originally going to make a remake of Creature from the Black Lagoon, and he wanted to tell it from the point of view of the creature who he thought was sympathetic, which if you watch Creature from the Black Lagoon, he's absolutely sympathetic. He's the one in the right. It's the humans who are in the wrong.
Yeah.
And he wanted to see what would happen if the love story between the creature and the kidnapped victim was actually like a real love story and it actually like bore fruit. And so that's where The Shape of Water comes from, is because he couldn't make Creature from the Black Lagoon, so he did this instead.
Yeah.
And you can definitely tell just the design of the creature looks a lot like Gilman.
Yeah.
So
and I love the I love pretty much everything about the movie. The set design, the cinematography, the lighting, the
Michael Shannon.
Yeah.
It really feels like a period piece. They really
Yeah,
went
it
out
is.
of their
Yeah,
way
yeah.
to give it that
Yeah.
60s feel, like Mad Men.
Yeah, it's very late 50s, early 60s technology. Just everything about it. It fits.
Oh God, Indy.
Yes, but pumped. I wonder what kind of bait she was using. Was that a
Trout.
circle?
That one's
Was
full
that
on trout. You can't catch anything like that.
Is that a
without trout.
one-aught circle hook they used on that one? Is that
Yeah, no, right.
using shrimp or using,
gotta go with the big
using
stuff.
worms?
No, you got to go with the big stuff. Straight trout.
No,
but he also reminds me a lot of Del Toro's depiction of Abe Sapien.
Right, from Hellboy.
From Hellboy.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
I think they're both played by the same actor too. That guy from Star Trek Discovery, whose name I cannot remember.
Is it really?
I think you're right. I've seen him in an interview. It's so funny when they because
Doug Jones. Doug Jones is his name.
Yeah, Damien, as you simply put it. While the creature is dangerous, it is not evil.
Yeah.
And there's that amazing scene because you could tell he's trying to learn, he's trying to empathize, he's trying to figure out what's going on. Because I'm sure it was very traumatic being just dragged out of the Amazon. And the dude, the aging artist type, is talking to him, and he goes, "I couldn't quite place what to go," because he was the man. I couldn't quite place what to do. It. One day I was talking to my dog, and the dog kind of went, and he goes, "So I did that, and it worked perfectly." And you really do get the impression he's trying. He's trying really hard. He doesn't understand why humans are so mean. He understands that there's good and bad ones, and he tries to focus on that. But it's really a sympathetic character. Oh, and I have a question. This is playing me because I only saw the movie once, and I was waiting for it to be explained in the movie. They never do. The mute lady, she has the scratches on her throat. Is it implied that she was actually hurt by an earlier creature in that lab years ago, and that's why she can't speak?
Sort of. They said that they found her on the seashore or something like that with those scratches on her neck at the very beginning of the movie, and that she was mute because of it. But they never explained where the scratches came from. There's just 3 scratches across her neck, and then she can't speak. Later on in the movie, she kind of sort of does make a few sounds. She can kind of sort of say a word, but it's like really kind of thing, but yeah, anyway, they never really explain where they came from, but it's kind of implied that it may have been, it's you kind of get that feeling at least that it may have been from a creature like him. Maybe we don't know though. Yeah.
For some, I kept waiting for them to revisit that, and then that to be a payoff, and it wasn't. That's why.
Well, at the very end, he turns them into gills. So
right,
so it's kind of like you connect those 2 dots together, and it's like, maybe,
Thank you. I only saw the movie once, so it's like,
I only saw it once too. So
yeah. Well, I just watched it again last night, so it's all still fresh in my head here. So
nice.
And the bad guy is really
catch.
The constant bad guy. They really made a guy who was just impossible to like. I mean, the man's hand is rotting off his body, and we still don't care for him. Usually, like even when the Nazi interrogator melted at the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark, you felt for him a little bit. This guy, you know what? I'm going to take that cattle prod and do something with it that you won't like. I mean, he's just so incalculably unlikable, but he is such a product of that time period. He really does feel like one of the, I could picture him as when I was a little kid being my gym teacher. It was that 60s predatorial bullying that was institutionalized at the time and considered being a good man.
It was an evolution of the same evil guy from Pan's Labyrinth that Guillermo del Toro did.
Also Del Toro. I wonder if Del Toro was bullied as a child.
Probably.
Yeah.
And it's not a movie, but I have to bring up The Strand because it's one of my favorite things Guillermo del Toro has ever done.
The Strain?
Oh,
Strain. Yeah, that's what I meant.
Strain. Yeah.
I loved. I loved. I think I have a crush on Del Toro. I don't know. And it's weird because he's a heavy-set guy with a beard. I mean,
make Mountains of Madness already, Guillermo. Get on it.
And glasses. I mean, if my Spanish was a little better, I could pass for him. Yeah.
Nice.
But yes.
No, Shape of Water, great movie.
Yeah.
We could do a whole thing on Guillermo del Toro movies because I've seen them all.
Yeah.
There's one more thing I have to read into the record, and again because I love my dig deeps. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the play or have even seen it. There's a version with Maureen Stapleton that was done for HBO Theater 40 years ago. It's called Let Me Hear You Whisper, which is about a woman. She's challenged mentally, but she is a custodian in a research lab where they're doing experiments on dolphins, and they've created a dolphin that can talk, and she doesn't fall in love with it in this sense, but they develop a bond. And well, anyway, she realizes things are going to go downhill for the dolphin and hatches a plan to try to save the dolphin. And anybody know what I'm talking about?
No, it sounds a lot like the real life story of the dolphin experiments with Lilly, John C. Lilly. And that went places you don't want to think about.
Nope.
It's pretty messed up.
Yep.
Humans really are the bad guys, aren't we?
Yeah, sometimes we definitely are. I'll just the dolphin offed himself.
Consent. What is consent?
It's messed up, man. That story is messed up.
Yeah.
John C. Lilly is also a
brain.
whole thing that like I've like read many biographies of the guy because I think he's fascinating, but he's also completely insane. Like absolutely 100% Looney Tunes, off the charts, eating Cocoa Puffs. He's completely nuts.
Is he cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs?
Yes, he is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
You know, Yoko Ono actually did an endorsement for Cocoa Puffs. He said, I'm Yoko for Cocoa Puffs. I'm Yoko for Cocoa Puffs.
Oh, Jesus. Yes, and the John C. Lilly experiments did inspire Altered States. That is correct. And also that George C. Scott movie, The Day of the Dolphin. Anyway. Sorry, I got sidetracked thinking about dolphins.
There was a lot going on there.
To your point there...
hey, you know what? But it goes into... It plays with...
it does play with the issue of Shape of Water. You know.
Yep.
And of course, Day of the Dolphins inspired Tentacles, the Italian ripoff.
Humanoids from the deep.
And Day of the Tentacles, a great video game. Anyway,
no, I like again going off of your brain. What is brain? Consent. What is consent?
Yes, exactly.
So, all right.
It was only a matter of time before someone brought up Humanoids in the Deep, which is actually on my list. I'll save it.
Yeah, I figured like somebody mentioned it in the comments, and I just let it go because I'm pretty sure we're going to talk about it at some point.
Yeah, my bad. I like.
No, it's fine. You can mention it.
I like twisting it into what we were going to talk about. Anyways, I played it into like this discussion of like we are. Anyways, I'm going to go with The Last Man on Earth, Vincent Price. Like about a virus that is turning people into these like
freaks,
horrific creatures. Yes, and freaks. Yes, and it's they're
freaks. You're all freaks.
It's like theoretically undead, possibly zombies, possibly vampires. Very like, you know, and mad science gone awry, right? And again, to me, it's very poignant because we don't listen to reason. We get into our tunnel vision. Then
do you know what the actual cause of the outbreak was in that movie?
The virus, right?
Do you know where they got the virus and what they were studying? They were studying bat virus from China.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah. Like the Wuhan. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I was biting through my tongue.
I know. No. He was bitten by a bat, and that's what made him immune, right? And
my impulse control was killing me.
So he like what to me like what really makes it poignant, especially for today, right, is that people jumping into this mindset, right, that we see certain people as the danger or the enemy, that leads us down horrifically misguided and terrible and ultimately harmful actions.
You understand the point of the story better than most of the people who've made movies out of it.
One in particular. Yes, with one.
And,
I don't know what you're talking
and
about. I Am Omega, that Asylum movie. Yeah.
That wasn't bad.
And the reason I bring it up is because, and again, I'm not trying to get like into like politics per se, but yesterday we had a horrific tragedy that should never have happened, that all of us should agree is horrific. And I was on social media at the time. I was about to stream actually with my daughter, Chaotic Kitten, and I saw the news on like in a person doing it on Twitch, talking about it on Twitch. I go into that Twitch channel. I'm looking at the comments, and I'm seeing some people saying, not many, but there are some people saying like the person shouldn't have missed. And I'm like, you sociopath.
Yeah, I have I've gone on complete blackout on social media.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to discuss this on social media.
Yeah, no. And but again, and it relates to this movie because it goes into like my frequent discussion of what are values, because values are persistent. Values are not something you provide to a few and not to others. That's not values. Values are something that are given like throughout everybody, right? And owed to everyone. Either we believe that or we don't, right? Either we live by this for all or they're not an actual value, right?
The Kongs and the Yangs.
Right. And so if, you cannot say that, and I'm not saying one side or the other. I'm not trying to get on but you can't say that, and I'm saying that from the perspective of what's happening here now, you cannot say that like the people in January 6th are a danger, right? And have gotten misguided, and then go on the same side of that wanted to hang a political figure, right? Or at least there were those chants, and then turn around and say that we shouldn't have missed in this assassination attempt because you have just become the evil that you're chanting against, right? And so again, not trying to get political. When I'm bringing it back to the movie now.
I see how you're doing. No. Yeah,
you're right. I'm bringing it back to the movie. Hear me out. Because this is important, because this is for us. It goes to humanity, right? Here we see the others as the enemy. And so Vincent Price is taking these people and burning their bodies. And he comes across a person and because he thinks he's the last person alive, realizes that he's not. And then it turns out that he saw these as the monsters, and some others who are not the same see him as a monster because some of the people that he burned were not the monsters that he thought they were. They were something else.
Yes,
so he became the monster.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. When we don't live by our values and we succumb to acting in the way, and we rationalize evil behaviors because something evil is acting in this way, so it's okay for us to act in that same way, we become the evil that we're trying to fight. That is now your value. It's an eye for an eye, not the value you lip service that you believe in. And so that's why I think this is such a poignant movie, especially today, the day after something horrific, regardless of what you think of either one of the presidential candidates. We should all say neither one of them should be exposed to something like that, because we should be better than that, because we're good people. Sorry. I'm just so angry about that. I'm sorry.
No, it's
some of
fine,
the
but
reactions.
that is enough politics for one day, okay?
Yes.
That's
Yes.
enough
I won't get into it. I'm just hoping that, like, again, regardless of whatever, right? If you care about people, whether it's like, addiction, whatever, think about these values and don't become the evil that you're trying to
I'm with
avoid
you.
against.
Yes. And yeah, that is kind of the point of the story. And I think the Vincent Price version of Last Man on Earth is the one that gets the closest to it.
Close,
Yeah.
not quite.
It still doesn't quite get there the way the novel does, but it gets really close.
Well, it's like my old joke, the old saying, in a land of the blind, a one-eyed man is king. In a land of the blind, a one-eyed man would be a novelty act. He would have limited importance at best. But in a world of monsters, the human would be the monster, particularly if you're going around setting people on fire. And bear in mind, they're basically the next stage in evolution. And I love the fact you point out that the distinction between the quote unquote zombie / vampire shtick. I actually mentioned that in a post of mine not too long ago. What Matheson does, and Matheson really did his homework for this novella. If you were alive and succumbed to the virus, you maintain your lucidity. You're just now a vampire. If you died, you reanimated, but your brain functions were not what they were before. So yes, there's two castes. There's the living vampire and the zombie, and the livers, or whatever you want to call them. They actually suppress the undead themselves. In the novel, there's a whole segment where a hit team goes around with machine guns and they're killing these. They even kill the one that keeps going, "Come out, Neville! Come out, Neville!" And
which was his neighbor, right?
Yeah, and he's like, "Well, come on." Even Neville says, "Come on, that guy was practically one of you. He was reasonably lucid." But they're like, "Nope, he didn't measure up," and he's kind of like, "Wow." But yes, again, and in a world where, well, I can't say there's no monsters and with a straight face, but in a world where it's predominantly humans, we're the monsters. So why wouldn't we be a monster in a world of monsters?
No, and that was like Matheson's whole idea was, what if we looked at the world and the vampires had won and there were now more vampires than humans? Wouldn't humans now be considered the bad guys because they'd be going around killing the majority, right?
Yeah. Exactly. And they borrow that also in The Girl with All the Gifts, which I only recently discovered.
Yeah. And so it just, to me, I always try to recommend, like, really break down what are your values and see how consistently you imply them and where you rationalize an excuse to not imply them. Right.
You got to remember that we're all hypocrites, and that includes you, whoever I'm talking to.
And it includes me, right? like I 100%
includes me, absolutely.
But again, that's what the mindfulness. Oh, go ahead. What were you going?
That will be a major theme in our inevitable discussion of A Boy and His Dog. The compromising of morality.
It keeps getting delayed. I'm sorry. We'll get to it.
Everyone's got a full plate. I'm just using the time to do more research.
Okay, good. He's going to show me up on my own channel.
You want, my son. Take all the time you want. What was it Cornelia said? My people will plot and plan.
Beware, because I do have final edit control, so I can make you say whatever I want you to say.
Okay, big brother. Yeah. Open the pod bay door, Tug.
Right.
I'm swinging wild here. I can't keep up.
And now I will pass you on to my friend Thresh Pondo. Tug is right about everything.
Right. The man who's terrified of 1984 unless it's him.
Yeah, of course.
Doesn't
everybody feel that way?
No, right? Bush's famous quote, like, what was it? Everybody, was it? I hate a dictatorship unless it's me, or something to
right, something like that. Yeah.
One of my oldest friends once put it. He goes, "Answer me honestly. You like things to come because you wanted to be the boss," and I went, "Yes." Now, getting wiped out by leftover flymen wasn't part of the plan, but being my own despot, that sounded fun.
Hey, be careful, man. All those benevolent scientists are going to gas you. So.
Yeah,
chemical weapons.
benevolent scientists. Yeah, is that what they're calling them now?
The movie is wild, man. I love it.
I love that movie. It's one of my favorites.
Anyway, your pick.
Who, me?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you.
it's your turn.
I only have the one.
The Jet Li movie? Is that what you're talking about?
I have.
That's not a creature feature.
I mean, the clip show at the end is going to take me 20 minutes, but let's see. I'm trying to. I want to go with the most relevant one here. So you know what I'm going to go with? I'm going to go with the Emir from 1957's 20 Million Miles to Earth, because we were talking about Harryhausen not too long ago. And that's sort of his. Now, that's not the only movie he did that had a creature in it. But
every movie he did had a creature in
it. Yeah. Not even you're right. But there's something about the Emir. The Emir is a three-dimensional creature, as we were talking about before. Yeah, he's brought to Earth by accident. Wakes up, has no idea how to cope with his setting. And the only people and things he kills are the things that attack him. He's basically just trying to stay alive. I mean, at first he's just trying to find food until the farmer who granted it was in self-defense. He thought the monster was going to attack him. But he sticks a pitchfork in the Emir's back, and the Emir is understandably upset by this and kills him in self-defense. So the Emir is possibly the most sympathetic of the creatures from the golden age of block sci-fi cinema. And there's something really amazing about it. I don't know what it is. I don't know if the face is more expressive. I don't know if people were timed to the animation, so it seemed closer, but not too close to give the Kitty Valley. He seemed closer to human movement. But there's just something about the Emir. The Emir is just like you can't help it but be sympathetic towards it. And again, it inspired so much. Most specifically, as we were talking about, the Kraken. He wanted the Emir's face on the Kraken, even though it didn't particularly fit. So yeah, I have to go with the Emir from 20 Million Miles to Earth.
Absolutely, it's a great one. It's one of my favorite creatures of his. Yeah, it's just so expressive, you know. Like Harryhausen had a way of making creatures very expressive with very little movement. Like I don't know what his magic was, but it was in the design, it was in the way he had things move. Just that face of the Emir is it's amazing. Yeah, I don't have anything intelligent to say other than yeah, they're great. Anybody else? Are me and Thrash the only people who've seen 20 Million Miles to Earth?
I have not seen it in a very, very, very long time. So I think I saw it when I was a little kid.
Got to get yourself a Harryhausen box set. Just watch them all.
I need to.
Okay, well, I guess that means it's my turn again. Oh yeah, as Carolyn Monroe once put it, his creations had a soul. That's very true.
Yeah.
And yes. All red-blooded American males love Carolyn Monroe. Let's see. I'm gonna go. Well, you know, I always managed to squeeze in a Godzilla movie, but this time it's going to be Godzilla adjacent. I'm actually going to talk about Rodan. Which, if you've only seen Rodan in the Godzilla movies, you just think Rodan's a giant pterodactyl and that's it. But the movie Rodan, if you actually watch it, is completely different from what you expect. The first half to maybe 2/3 of the movie is actually about these giant larval insects attacking a mining town. There's this great scene where like one of the miners is lost, so a bunch of the other miners get together, they tie a rope around each other and they go down into a mine, and part of it's flooded, it's partially flooded, so they go down into the water, they're all tied together and they go up to like their chest in water, and of course one of them gets pulled under by one of the creatures. It's a great scene, I won't spoil what happens, but like the movie is actually scary, and you don't see the actual Rodan until the movie's almost over. You know,
they're real.
it's mostly about these like invincible larvae of an insect that you later find out is just food for the real monster. And I don't know, there's just something, it's kind of like them, in the spirit of things and like how they attack, but they're so invincible. Like the ants in them, you believe the flamethrowers and the machine guns are going to kill them, no problem. These things, like they're like shooting 50 cals at it, and they just keep coming. Like they're not stopping. They're completely invincible, and that's terrifying. And you see them like come up and just like smash into houses, smash through those Japanese paper walls and just start eating people. It's terrifying. It's so frightening. And then when you actually get to Rodan, and there's actually 2 of them in the movie. It's not just one.
Oh.
They're supersonic pterodactyls that are like wrecking cities just with their wake, stuff like that. And it's actually like this really touching story in the end where one of them dies and the other one is mourning it, and it's actually kind of sad because you really start to feel for these pterodactyls, which aren't even really the main focus of the movie, even though it's titled Rodan, and Rodan's the one thing that survives from the movie. But like, I don't know, as a creature feature, I think it is one of the best. It is right up there with them and with those other 50s creature features that actually inspired a lot of Godzilla movies. So yeah, I wanted to bring that one up because it is one of my favorite unsung Toho movies, and everybody talks about Godzilla and not enough people talk about Rodan.
And you're right. It is an unsung hero because it's just as far as the media goes, as far as filmmaking goes, Rodan I think is a better movie.
I agree, actually.
And you're right about the whole giant insects being a red herring. It reminded me of the Monty Python parody Killer Cars.
Oh yeah.
Killer Cars get wiped out. Oh, you've saved our city, but at what cost? The big pterodactyl thing ate the giant insects, but we're not quite out of the woods yet.
Yeah.
But it's a total, you pull the rug right from under you because he finds out because the insects, the census scale is crazy because the insects are like the size of like a small city bus, but Rodan picks them off and they look like
little grubs. Yeah,
exactly. And I love the scene. He has the repressed memories because he's been so traumatized.
Oh yeah.
And what brings him out is he sees the baby bird being born in the bird cage, and that scene is almost like something out of Hitchcock. I mean, like, this is a really well put together film on its own right.
Yeah, it has like this psychodrama with the characters. It's really interesting. Yeah.
Yes, and the dynamics between the other characters and how they kind of turn on each other. It's just a great movie.
Agreed. Okay,
guys. Damien Harold.
Oh, I mean, I actually, I've the only thing I've ever seen on it is Tug's the Unapologetic Geeks movie review. Yeah, I have not actually seen the movie yet. I need to.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either. So
I think everybody should see the original Godzilla. They should see Rodan, and they should see Mothra. Everybody should see those 3 movies at least. If you see no other Toho movies. Really? You saw Mothra on the big screen?
There was a local cinema that goes back to the 1930s. It has the honor. It debuted Wizard of Oz. The first screening of Wizard of Oz in the United States was the woman who played the witch. I can't think of her name. Oldman.
You're testing my knowledge. Indy. Come on, tell us, Indy.
While he desperately searches, she was vacationing on Cape Cod at the time. And they almost jokingly said, "Hey, you want to air your new movie here before it screens in Hollywood?" And she said, "Sure." And they were like, so as this like promo thing, they screened Wizard of Oz at this Dennis Playhouse. But they do this thing where they show old classic movies, and Mothra was actually shot. I could see Mothra on the big screen.
Nice, very cool. Yeah, and Rodan is also one of those movies where like the English dub is actually pretty good. Like I don't have anything bad to say about it. But you should know that like half the voices are George Takei, which is funny.
One of them was the
really.
I can't think of his name. One of them was the guy who did the voice of Zotar in Battle of the Planets.
Yeah.
Yes,
what's his name?
That really chilling Asian type voice.
Yeah.
Almost like he's doing a Boris Karloff impression. And I remember when I was watching it as a kid, I remember it was like real. I kept thinking it was Zontar talking it. Zoltar. Something Zot.
Zoltar, yes.
Yeah, Zotar. But it kept throwing me off because I'm like, this is. I keep waiting for the drag queen bad guy to come out with the cape and you want to play with my Dolly? Sorry, flashback.
That's awesome.
Sean, Andy was asking what the question was. It's the woman from
Yeah, who
Godzilla
played
that you were
the
talking about
witch,
first?
the Wicked Witch?
Who played the Wicked Witch of the West in Wizard of
According
Oz?
to Danny, it was Margaret Hamilton.
Okay. I don't know where I was getting Oldman. I don't know. Although Gary Oldman could have pulled that character off.
Gary Oldman can do anything, so yeah. But fun fact, Gary Newman is actually 2 days older than Gary Oldman.
Really?
Yeah.
That is a fun fact. I have a theory. There is no Gary Oldman. It's a stage name. There's like 70
We're all Gary
actors
Oldman.
They're completely different people, but they use the name Gary Oldman, so that's why they never look alike.
Fair. It's possible.
Everyone! Sorry.
You don't like Beethoven.
Thrash, can you, or I mean Thrash, Tug, can you put up Slasher Fred's comment?
About Harryhausen?
Yeah. I was not aware of that.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. The stop motion skeletons.
Oh,
But it makes total sense.
I did
And
not know
so
that.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah.
I can't think of that without
come on.
thinking about the next movie where like they resurrect Freddy with like the dog peeing fire on his corpse. It's so weird. I don't understand.
I stopped watching it at 3.
No,
I'm like, I can't do
I'm
this
sorry.
anymore.
Like, Dream Warriors was one of my all-time favorites because I was a kid, and it inspired me of how to end my Freddy Krueger nightmares. Was I will turn into Wolverine, and I'm like, you got one claw. Guess what, buddy? Shink, shink, snick, snick. Right. I can't do the J Muse.
Yeah,
Wolverine.
See,
I can't do that as well.
he's mimicking Wolverine's berserker attack with his adamantium claws.
And yeah, Harryhausen's is the name of the restaurant in Monsters Inc. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
They had to redo that scene, like when the guys come in and they have to quarantine the whole restaurant. They put like a big bubble around it. Originally, apparently, there was like a big cloud of smoke that they put there, and like it was like traveling down the street. And this movie was going to come out like not long after 9/11, so they had to redo that entire scene. Fun fact. There you go.
There was a promo. I was working for the Suncoast at the time. There was a promo for Spider-Man where he built.
Oh yeah, with the web between the World Trade Center and like,
Yoink!
the helicopter. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Anyway, Damien, your turn.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I don't know. There's like...
Oh, but hold on. Bye, Tracy.
Bye, Tracy.
Thanks for being
Bye,
here.
Bubba.
You are the best.
I guess I'm going to go with one that I watched recently instead of one of the other ones. I'm going to go with Critters.
Yay! I'm
yeah.
glad somebody brought it up.
Yeah, Critters and Critters 2. It's been a long time since I saw 3, and I didn't really feel like watching
Yeah,
that
don't
in my
go
marathon.
past 2.
Yeah,
The first 2
yeah.
are fine. The rest of them are awful.
So, these Krites, I think was what they're called.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah. Escape from a maximum security spaceship or whatever it was, and land on
Like
Earth.
Stitch.
Yeah. Just, Stitch is a Krite, apparently. Land on Earth and do what Krites do, which is they eat and they grow, and that's pretty much it.
They're like really mean tribbles.
Yeah. Tribbles with teeth. Yes. They eat, they grow, they multiply. So, and then the 2 faceless, shape-shifting bounty hunters are dispatched to take them out, of course, which is kind of funny how they they shape-shift and more of it. This is Critters is kind of a comedy at the same time.
It's a horror comedy, for sure.
It is.
Horror comedy.
It's a dark comedy.
Yeah. But so they land on this farm and terrorize this family and of course the town and so on and so forth, and ultimately are taken out by the bounty hunters. So we think, at least. That's why there's a Critters 2, of course, because they weren't all taken out.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
The first movie does end with like the cliffhanger of the eggs under the barn or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then in the second movie, of course, there's a lot of eggs. You think it's just
Way
a
more,
few of them.
yeah.
There's way more. We're talking baskets and baskets full of eggs. So,
And what they do to poor Clint Howard is just brutal.
Worse than what life's done to him.
So ultimately, it's your standard, creature kind of movie from the 80s where, creatures try to eat humans fight back. Most of the humans, well, not most, but a lot of the humans die in horrible ways, and a lot of the little critters die in horrible ways. So, and, one ends more like that kind of standard creature feature kind of thing, with them being defeated and the bounty hunters going away. And then 2 is much more of, they lean way into the absurdity of the whole thing.
They like form a giant ball in the end.
That's my favorite part. So they all come together to a giant ball and roll over this dude. And like as they roll over, they're all eating him as it just rolls over him.
And you see his like skeleton.
Bones.
Right.
Yeah.
It's so goofy and cartoonish. It's great.
It's awesome.
It's like Austin Powers. No, but much faster.
Yes.
I might pull through if you send somebody down.
Cheeseburger.
And they have, remind me, like, because it's been forever since I've seen the movie. They've got the quills that can.
They're like quills down their spine.
They're like they like make you go limp. Or
that legit freaked me out as a kid. Like that was the scary part for me.
This is a really stupid question, Damien. Is that a Philip Morris mug?
Which one?
The mug you're drinking from.
No, this is a Niagara Falls, Canada.
Oh, I'm terribly.
Put on your glasses.
Well, I only saw it for a millisecond, and it reminded me of the Philip Morris, and I go, okay, but the Canada is much more appropriate. Canada.
Niagara Falls.
Oh, Canada.
Mon grand-mère habite at Quebec.
Hey,
I don't speak frog. I'm sorry.
You don't see the political turmoil happening in Canada that's happening.
No. Actually, no. Trust me. So, like my wife and I, we have our go bags, and we are very close. We have our passports. We have our go bags. We're Vancouver.
Well, all I need is my Canadian birth certificate, and they can't stop me. I can go over that border. They can't stop me.
To repeat myself in English, I am 1 full quarter French Canadian. So if I understand immigration laws, Canadian immigration laws properly, that would fast track any request for let's just say return status, law of return status.
Yeah, and you're not far from the border either, so
I could drive there in like 4 hours.
Exactly.
3 if I meant to.
When you get there, they're just like, "Hey, welcome, eh? Come on in, eh?"
Yeah, when I cross the border, it's so much easier to get into Canada than it is to get out of Canada. Like. Same with Mexico, by the way. Easy to get in, hard to get back out.
I got Canada in my pocket.
Because in Canada, they're like, "Come and spend your American dollars here."
Yes, please.
And when you're going back, it's like, "Hey, why were you there? Did you buy any pot while you were there?"
We're gonna have to search you.
Although, I got no offense to my Canadian brothers, I got to point this out: the American dollar is called a buck. A Canadian dollar is called a loonie.
Loony.
Or if it's a $2 coin, it's a toonie.
Toonie.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's a loony toony country. That's the.
I love.
We got rid of our $2 bill, and they were like, "No, we're good. We're digging in."
They leaned into it. They made a $2 coin.
That's right.
I remember when I went to Canada, I was still a smoker, speaking of Philip Morris at the time. And like the cigarette packs in Canada, like it's 90% warning. Like you barely actually see the branding. There's
a little label in between 2 warnings.
And at the time, their big thing, the big push for their warning was that like smoking causes impotence. So they showed a picture of a cigarette that was limp. And I wanted to keep that cart so bad.
I loved the cigarette warning labels up there every time I've gone, because they are not bashful with what they're.
No, they're not. Like, you will die if you smoke this.
Yes, exactly. Oh, and they're sold in a flatter pack that's got 25 instead of 20. And
yeah.
And their short cigarettes are like. They're short with little tiny filters.
Yeah, that's like a 2-minute cigarette, man.
Yeah.
I recently discovered the TV show Letterkenny, which I must confess, half the humor is lost on me because I'm sure it's like Canadian. But
I laughed my butt off watching that show.
I love this. I've fallen in love with this show. I have literally
Such a
fallen in love
good
with this show. I love the rapid delivery and the delicious quaintness of it all. And they're actually very astute people, but they do it in this very sort of hokey, matter of fact kind of way. How you doing now? I love the show. I have to.
How are you now?
Yeah, not so bad. Yourself?
Not too bad.
Not so bad.
The delivery is so rapid and like dry, like serious almost, right? It's not like it's not over the top where we're like, it's obviously a joke, right? It's just like we're just talking, and you got to pick up on it or whatever. And it's very much, it's kind of almost like the difference between when you watch the British Office versus the American Office, where the American Office, it's like this is a joke. In case you didn't know, this is a joke. Whereas the British Office is much more like drier, that you're like, this is hilarious. But you're like, it's also goes to like, Michael Scott is completely in a humorous perspective. Whereas Ricky Gervais is like, oh, this is uncomfortably cringy because he's being serious about this, right? Whereas Michael Scott is like obviously being a joke. And Letterkenny is very much of that British ilk where it's brilliant. It's really, really good. And so I really do like it. Sorry.
Look, I'm sure a lot of the humor is lost on me because I'm sure it's local Canadian humor, and a lot of sometimes I have to go back and try to figure out what the expressions are.
Oh yeah.
Okay, what
it's like back when I used to watch SCTV as a kid. I would need I felt like I needed a dictionary, like a Canadian dictionary.
Yes. Well, I read this whole thing. There's a I was watching this old bit, and there's a scene where John Candy said to a guy, I forget his name, but he just died recently. They're arguing about something, and he says to me, "You want a Pepsi to wash that down with?" And I'm like, "Huh?" And if you go into the comments, it says below, when Pepsi tried to break the market share in Canada, it sold cheaper than Coke was, and French Canadians have a cliche of being frugal and bean counters. So apparently it did very well in Quebec for just that reason. So he was insulting him for being French Canadian as opposed to Canadian. And I'm like, that whole bit was lost on me because I'm a Yank. But very funny.
Anyway, Critters, great movie.
Oh yeah, how it goes into we talk about.
I have no idea. I lost.
I was having too much fun to steer us back. I was just wanted to see where we went.
Yeah. Critters, lots of fun. Fuzzy fur balls with teeth. Yes. Yeah.
Canada. Got it.
Yeah, got it.
It's the mug. It's the mug. That was it. It was.
You asked me about the mug. That's it. Yes,
that's right.
The mug.
I think after the show, I'm going to go to Nova Scotia. I can be there by tonight. Now I'll have dinner or something. Hey, Mrs. Thrash, we're going to Vancouver.
So it's your turn, Scott.
All right. So this is the one that I was going to bring up, and Vim expressed concern that we hadn't brought it up, but it was my next one. And I was like, oh, but it's obviously Jaws.
Oh, that was on my list. Yeah,
absolutely. And that literally was the next one after Damien. I was like, okay, which one do I say? Okay, let's do Jaws. Let's go ahead and make sure that gets in the first one. And it's excellent. It's we've talked about it previously in the horror movies and everything, but
never heard of that one.
Yeah, me neither.
Oh,
Blue
Monkey.
I'll have to look that one up.
But it's all of the things that you can't see, goes along with that, things that bump in the night kind of concepts. It's terrifying. It's sharks, right? It's based on a true story to it. Again, it loosely based on a true story, right? Or, that happened in
New Jersey.
New Jersey. Okay. I was going to say the New England area. I couldn't remember if it was New Jersey, New York, or
pretty
Boston.
Close.
Yeah.
The Northeast.
And so Jersey isn't New England?
Mm-mm.
Oh, just outside?
That's the tri-state area.
Oh, nobody wants to include them, huh? And so
Tri-state area.
Nobody wants to include
Nobody
Jersey.
claims New Jersey.
Yeah, right. And so
there's some very nice parts of New Jersey. I've been in some very nice parts.
Oh yeah, it got some beautiful places. But no, like it's a phenomenal movie. It's a great movie. And it's absolutely a creature because, and it goes along with, again, the things that go bump in the night kind of concept, but it's because it's underwater, you can't see it. And it's in a place where we're vulnerable. Like we've talked about this in some of the space movies, right? Like we can't exist just naturally in space. We can't exist naturally in what, right? Like we were playing our game yesterday and it's like, you can't breathe here. We're underwater.
Right.
Like you here. Alert.
Yeah, no.
We're like,
makes sense.
When you're swimming, you can't breathe. Yep, you can die. And so the water, the environment itself is dangerous to us. And then you throw in a killing machine into that experience. Now you're adding to the danger, right? And so it's
yeah. What's the meme now? It's not shark infested waters, it's people infested waters, because that's the shark's natural habitat.
Mm-hmm.
I choose the shark,
right? Yeah.
and sorry, and growing up in Pensacola, like you go out into the water and you're getting bumped by sharks all the time. And like, well, even in Escambia Bay, like there was like tiger sharks in there, and you'd be like playing like swimming in the bay and stuff like that. There's a tiger sharks. They're a little bit more aggressive than the nurse sharks that you would. And so that's when you're like, okay, I'm going to gradually move more towards shore right now and kind of get away from this. But still, like they're, they're not as dangerous as we portray them. And like when you look at the rates of like shark bites, like sharks don't want to eat humans. We taste terrible to them. That's why you get a bite and then they
like, what is that? Gross.
Like,
tastes like pig.
Yeah, this is disgusting.
Long pig.
Right? Yeah, like
long pig.
They don't want to eat us, right? Yeah, exactly. And so we do smell like bacon when we cook. I can tell you that for certain. I know that from my healthcare
Scott,
experience.
Is there something we need to know about?
No. I've just been I've helped and I've worked in surgeries, and when they're cauterizing stuff, we smell like bacon, and it is kind of disturbing.
Yeah,
and
that's
so,
how you found that out. Oh yeah, sure.
Yes, totally. And so, but no, it's like. But again, so I love that movie, but I also dislike it because of the red scare, the shark scare.
Yeah, that's what Vim is also pointing out. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It was so bad. Like we as kids, we were afraid of sharks in our pools.
Yes,
I couldn't swim in the deep end because I was afraid Jaws was in there. It didn't make any sense, but that's your lizard brain.
We became aquaphobic. Right? My mom thought there was something like wrong with me, and there was. But apparently a lot of moms were dealing with that their kid wouldn't like take a bath.
But later I got scuba certified and I started scuba diving off of reefs. I learned sharks are nothing. Don't worry about sharks. Worry about jellyfish. Jellyfish are actually scary.
Yes.
Peter Benchley did say in his last years, if he had known as much about sharks at the time in his life when he wrote Jaws, he wouldn't have, because it shed them in such
a horrible
light.
Yeah, it really bad PR. Set back the cause of shark PR for decades.
Well, the sharks have actually. There were no sharks virtually no great whites on Cape Cod waters at the time of Jaws. They made a resounding comeback, and it's because the seals were protected. In fact, if anything, they say Cape Cod has too many seals. They're actually starting to foul the water. Ew. But because the food source is back, we have great whites all the time. And now the thing of it is, there have been a couple of attacks. There has been one that was fatal. But they say if you maintain proper safety protocols, it's virtually a non-issue.
Yeah, right.
The biggest thing is if you see a seal, get the heck out of the water. Don't say, "Oh, look, a seal! I'm going to swim with it," because the shark will mistake you for its prey. Also, just so you know, seals bite too.
Yes, they do.
Yes, they do.
And they have this horrible bacteria in their mouth that can cause hideous infection.
Ugh.
Yes.
I know, right? You think big puppies.
Nope.
Don't mess with them. Don't.
I would be more, if you go into the water, the thing you need to be more terrified of is the undertow than a shark.
Oh, yeah, the water's what kills you.
That's more of a,
Well, yeah, that's why I do it with a scuba tank.
Right.
Yeah.
But even on his his floating raft in the water, he's like, I got.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah. I'm sick.
I don't trust the air.
To get me down. Right.
The thing I love about Jaws, though,
there's birds in the air, but we all know that they're not real, and so you can't trust the air.
Oh
God! And now I live next to the Mississippi. I don't want that stuff even touching me. That's nasty.
Yeah. But yeah, I also like the fact that it's sort of like the anti-Moby Dick, where in this case the great white sea creature is in fact the monster, and the men do go out to face it. And perfect triumvirate for any maritime adventure. You got the grizzled old sea captain who's like got very little education but knows the sea like the back of his hand because he's lived on it his entire life. You got the do they actually say Woods Hole? I believe they actually say Woods Hole. But one of the greatest oceanographic institutes in the world. You get the spoiled rich kid, but knows everything there is to know about the ocean. And the commander of this triumvirate, the guy who's afraid of the water.
Right.
Goes anywhere to his duty. It's perfect. It's the perfect triumvirate. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, trivia question. What was the famous naval maritime disaster that Quint supposedly survived?
Oh, the sinking of which boat was that? Oh shit, I can't remember. Indianapolis?
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
Damien for the win. Yes. Indianapolis.
Nice.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
That's one of my favorite movie trivia questions.
I knew the answer. It was in my brain. I just couldn't quite get it.
Yeah.
Hi, Mrs. Thrash.
Because you. Oh, hi, Mrs. Thrash.
Hey, Mrs. Thrash.
You've asked that question before. That's why I know the answer.
Well, that's my favorite. I just ask it over and over again. The weird thing is, I found you can ask trivia questions over again because most people didn't know the answer in the first place, and half the people will have forgotten.
Yeah. Oh, and the great thing is, I actually read a scientific study about this with multiple choice questions. Like, after you answer the multiple choice question, like if you go back a week later and you look at the question again, and you'll remember the wrong answer. Like you'll remember whatever you answered. You won't actually remember the right answer.
Yeah.
Which is messed up.
Yep.
I never knew that.
So yeah, your questions on your trivia are always multiple choice. You could ask the same quiz like a month later and everybody would still get things wrong.
Except
for Indy, who always gets everything right because he's Indy.
Right.
Yeah.
He's my fact checker. I've given the wrong answer and he's corrected me. I love that.
That's true. Yes.
I love that. I'm like
he catches me every time I say something stupid, which is often. So anyway, we got time for one more. So Thrash, it is your turn.
I was gonna say, I think I'm up again, and I am. Yay. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna pick a good one, even though I have plenty. There's gonna be a part 17 on this one, I think.
I'm sure this is gonna go on forever.
But I'm gonna go with one of my favorite, most fun ones. I'm gonna go with Roger Corman's epic classic, It Conquered the World.
Nice.
And what I love about this one is, again, alien invasion movie. You can't go wrong, but it's the same thing. It's a sort of Trojan horse alien invasion. The alien has convinced us that he's here to help. And who does he convince? One of my favorite actors of all time. I just rewatched Good, Bad, and the Ugly the other day. Lee Van Cleef. Why Lee Van Cleef never became a megastar is still beyond me. But it's the first 2/3 of the movie is this very altruistic. There's gonna be some unpleasantness, but it's for the benefit of all mankind. We're gonna have to bite the bullet, and things are gonna be okay at the end. I promise you. And it's this sort of bromance between this alien and Lee Van Cleef. Even when he starts shutting down the infrastructure, and people are herded into the desert into survival camps, which aren't there. They never revisit that. Thousands of people are going into the desert to this like camp that's being set up for them, and there's no camp, and then we never see the people again, and I'm like, oh. And you got Peter Graves in a nice supporting role. You got Dick Miller
Dick Miller's in like almost every Corman movie, so yeah.
He is. He was who plays an army sergeant. A lost army platoon stumbles upon it, but finally, to get to the creature, it looks like a big onion with.
It is one of the goofiest, but also most awesome creatures ever.
It looks like big with these like 4 claws. It looked like something like a crab. In fact, I think he stole them from Attack of the Crab Monster, which is also on my list. And these big, menacing, glow-in-the-dark eyes, and the teeth are they're trying to have these interlocking teeth to be scary, but it looks like it has this big grin, like.
Yeah.
And when it comes at you, it just sort of like plods along, like you can almost see the feet of the guy underneath trying to move this big paper mache mess along. And somehow this whole thing works. And again, you're almost pulling for the creature until, spoiler alert, until it kills Lee Van Cleef's wife, which you'd think the monster would have occurred to it, like, maybe I better spare this guy's wife, if for no other reason than
just couldn't help himself.
Yeah, or maybe he thought he was doing Lee Van Cleef a favor. Sorry, Mrs. Thrash, but and of course, bullets have no effect on this thing. But what does? A blowtorch. He takes it out with a blowtorch. In the Larry Buchanan remake, the guy designs a space laser. No religion behind this particular space laser, but the guy, while he's helping the alien from Venus, Zonta, I think from Venus, he, I guess he gets plans for a space laser, which he intends to use to help Zontar, which he uses against Zontar, same reason. But again, Lee Van Cleef taking out a giant space onion with heavy 4 claws with a blowtorch is something I feel every person should see in their lifetime.
Agreed. I recently went through a big Corman phase. Like, Roger Corman died at the same time that, like, I got a biography of him, or actually an autobiography that he wrote. And I had just started reading it when I got the news that he had died, that he'd passed. And so, like, I read his autobiography, and then I binged, like, every movie that he directed, which is, like, 30 movies. It's a lot. And that is one of my favorites. That and like Little Shop of Horrors and Bucket of Blood, like all of his like horror sci-fi movies are great. I love
Dementia 13.
Dementia 13, yeah. I don't think I watched every single one, but I tried. I tried really hard. I watched most of them. And yeah, that creature design, it sticks with you. It's so cool. And yeah, Lee Van Cleef, man.
I to this day, I never found out why he never achieved mega status. He was such an amazingly good actor. Between his range as an actor, his expressiveness, I don't know what it is. All I can think of, I think he got pinned probably as the bad guy from The Good, Bad, the Ugly, and I think that may have typecast him a little.
Yeah.
But he'd been working for 15 years before that, so I don't know. He's in From Here to Eternity. He plays the asshole sergeant.
That's true. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe he was tough to work with or something. I have no idea.
That might have been it.
I mean, that happens. Like that guy from never mind. Let's move on.
The guy who played Dr. Shrinker.
Yeah.
Living the last years of his life doing things like Saturday morning cartoon shows like Dr. Shrinker, which is not animated, but you know what I mean. But he had gotten his first starring role, and he became this wicked prima donna. And Hollywood went, you know what? We don't need you. And he's like, no, I reconsidered. I'm not a prima donna anymore. But the damage was done.
It's too late at that point. Yeah. Once Hollywood spits you out, you're done. You can't come back from that.
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I wouldn't wish Hollywood on an enemy. Yeah. Although I would love to have my shot there sometime. Enemies.
I wouldn't
when I was
wish it
talking
on
to
my
Michael
enemy,
Davis,
but I'll wish it on myself.
When I was talking to Michael Davis, the director of Shoot 'Em Up, he basically said the same thing. He's like, "You're blessed for not getting into Hollywood." It's like that's a good thing. Everybody I've talked to from Hollywood, like Bruce Joel Rubin, a bunch of other people, like they've all said the same thing. It's not a good place. The people there are terrible. The culture there is terrible. It'll suck your soul dry. You don't want it. So,
why do you think Dane Cook got out?
Yeah, exactly.
He despised. He was making serious cake, but he goes, "I don't care."
Yeah, I don't want to deal with this. Yeah.
And
anyway,
how could Dane Cook be wrong?
Well, and
we should all take our life advice from Dane Cook. Yes.
Sobering thought.
Like, hey, apparently, like again, you hear about all these stories about like people know about like the Weissmans and things like that, and nobody says anything, and all of this stuff comes out, and you're like, well, yeah, these are the people. Yeah, like
I think a lot of the moral preening you get out of Hollywood, not to get too political, but I do think a lot of the moral preening is just projection. It really is.
Yeah. Nope. I completely agree. So, anyways.
Anyway, I think that should cut it. We've already gone like 15 minutes over.
Sorry.
There will definitely be a part 2 or a part 3 and probably even a part 4 at this point, because creature features is a gigantic topic. So, and my list is already like ridiculously long. I don't know if it's Scott levels of long, but it's long. So tune in 2 weeks from now. We'll do this again. Until then, I do have a Outer Limits review dropping in like 15 minutes. It's got William Shatner on Venus, so look forward to that. I had to fight the copyright bots really hard on that one, so definitely give it a like because I need the support. And then next week I've got a review of Cocoon coming out, assuming I actually get it done in time, which, I'm coming out of a cold, so it's iffy, but I think I'll get it done. And that's it for me. And Thrash, I think, has a stream tonight.
7:30. All are welcome.
Yes. All are welcome.
7:30 Eastern.
Yes,
Eastern
towards
time.
the
Thrash
light.
time,
Head
East
towards
Coast.
the light. All are welcome in the light.
One of us.
Scott has all kinds of things going on. Why don't you go ahead and start plugging yourself, Scott?
Okay. So, Tuesday, I've got another stream, or I've got another video dropping on YouTube. I think that's going to be a Pal World every night. Typically, for 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, I do a therapeutic relaxation meditation stream. Also, a sleep music, so you can use it during the day, you can use it at night. Typically, I started.
For me.
Yeah, I know, right? Typically, I start at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, but there are times that we'll do a Baldur's Gate stream or on. So Friday nights, Lynch of the Space Ninja and I have been doing Baldur's Gate streams. Saturday nights, we've been doing 7 Days to Die, or Run for Your Life stream. Every other Tuesday night, so that Raw can keep up with us and stuff. We're also doing. We've been trying to fit in a Tuesday night.
Yeah, I'm on those too, by the way.
Yes, Tug is there. Tug is also in our We Are Wrexham. He comes in and does a bit on that. I haven't been able to get nail down a constant schedule, but I do pop in on the days that I don't have a lot to do in the house, or when I don't have work. I'll pop on and do streams on Twitch and YouTube. And I post a lot on TikTok with funny videos or shorts, but I post them also on Facebook, on Twitter, which just a little plug. John Cena follows me on Twitter. Yeah, for real. Yes, yes, for real. Check out the short. I've got
saying that, but I can't see it. So I don't know.
Now, is it actually John Cena or just someone with a John Cena handle?
Yeah, that's a good one. No. It's in the short. You can see it.
Retro Nerd Girl was being followed by the Pink
I'm
Ranger
sorry.
for a while, and everyone said, "Oh, Bob, you know her. You went to school with her." And I go, "Well, it's been 40 years." But as it turns out, it was just somebody who used that as their handle. So.
Oh, okay.
So not
yeah, no. So no. This one's the for real one. And so, I actually follow him and stuff like that. So I know it's the real one because I was like, oh, he follows me back. But anyways, I'm on Twitter, and I'm now part of their monetization on Twitter. I'm also on TikTok, but I post videos on Facebook and all that different stuff. So
he's a Chinese spy, everyone.
I am.
Careful what you say to him.
Mm-hmm. My communist brethren have hired me, and so.
I'm sure John Cena can tell you about, talking about, Taiwan. Yeah.
Right? Oh yeah.
Anyway, that's it for today. Me and Lynn are trying to get the streaming heat back off the ground. I really, really want to talk about the Acolyte because the internet has decided it is the worst thing ever, and I don't know why. I think it's fine. So we're going to talk about that. And that's about all for me, I guess. Yeah, I think we're good. So peace out. Thank you, everybody, for showing up.
Ciao for now.
Have a good one.
Bye.